Excellent!
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Paul's Hardware. Today's video is a little bit of a behind-the-scenes look at how I set up to shoot live streams. So I'm going to be looking at a lot of the hardware and configuration stuff that you see behind me, going over some of the cameras that I have set up, my audio solution, and especially a focus on how I shoot myself, because I'm usually a one-man operation, so oftentimes I have to kind of get things all arranged for myself to hit the record button and then record myself and then edit myself later on. So sometimes it's a matter of being able to monitor myself like I'm doing right now with the camera that I'm using, which is the Panasonic Lumix Gh4, which is kind of my small run and gun shooting camera. It has some limitations, but definitely nice that it has this Panasonic image app which allows me to see exactly what the heck is going on. That's one of the most important things when you're shooting yourself. It's just being able to look at it and be like, yes, it looks okay, I hope. Because one of the last things you ever want to do, one of the things I really try to avoid, is having to reshoot something, having to go back because it was out of focus, or maybe because we lost audio, or the audio didn't pick up well enough. And as I talk about all this stuff, I'm reminded that I'm recording using an in-camera microphone, and it's probably really echoey. But we'll deal with that. Anyway, also what the heck is this thing right here? I'm going to show you right now. So since I started with cameras, I'm going to go over the rest of the ones that I'm currently using, starting with my main one right here, which is the Panasonic Lumix Gh4. Actually, is this a Lumix? Anyway, it's a Gh4 from Panasonic. I love this camera. I bought it partially slightly used from Larry Dickerson, aka Geeky Nerd Dad. Follow him on Twitter and YouTube and stuff. And some things that I really like about this camera, apart from the ability to shoot 4K, interchangeable lenses, nice large micro four thirds sensor. It's got a flip out and articulating screen, which means that I can open the screen and I can actually, if it's not being blocked by cables, turn it around and face it towards me as I'm recording stuff. That way if I'm setting up a shot, I can look and immediately see what it is. Now, in the absence of that, for instance, in the configuration you see right now where it has my big Ghetto Teleprompter in front of it, I can't see this through the cardboard, so that's when I would line up and use my smartphone, like I just showed you a second ago, with the image app, and then that would allow me to actually see what's going on here so I can monitor it even if I'm away or not looking at it directly. The other way that I can monitor it is, of course, if I'm actually live streaming or setting up to live stream, which would be via the HDMI out, which is right over here, kind of. So that's plugged in, and that's routed all the way over via cable on the floor to my computer's capture card right there, which is a Blackmagic Intensity Pro. You can find lots of pros and cons for the Intensity Pro online. Lots of people have tried it with varying degrees of success, but it's actually worked pretty well for me. So anyway, there's kind of my main camera that I use. When I need a secondary camera, I use the LX100, although the LX100 that I'm recording with right now does not necessarily have everything you need to use it for a main camera. The LX100 doesn't have an HDMI out, a clean HDMI out. It doesn't have an HDMI out, but you can only use it for playback. It's actually pretty stupid. I feel like Panasonic could bypass that if they really wanted to. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. So the LX100 I only use if I can record something internally and play it back. The other thing that I use if I want to record stuff live is a webcam. So this is a Logitech C920. It's kind of a, I don't want to call it the gold standard in webcams. Visual quality is pretty good with this, and the software is not terrible either, so you can kind of get by. You got to figure out some of the quirks. Wait, did I say the software is not terrible? The software is pretty bad, but once you've kind of figured out some of the quirks, you can use this and set it up. And I use this just to record directly to the computer when needed, or I will also use this actually to set up and do time lapses, and I think that deserves another video if I want to show you guys how to do webcam time lapses, because it would be too complicated for this. But anyway, that's kind of what I do when I'm recording, and there's a look at my view when I'm recording. You can also see our washer and dryer in the background. Alright, let's move on from cameras now, and I want to talk a little bit about audio. So let's talk about where all my audio comes from. All my audio gets piped through this little guy right here. This is a Monoprice Sound Pro Audio Series soundboard. It's just a mixer. The product ID is 615808 if you guys are interested. There's actually a newer version of this. It's a little bit cheaper on Monoprice, which is, I believe, a 10-channel mixer. This is an 8-channel mixer, but it has 4 XLR inputs that are powered with phantom power. So the newer one you can get is a little bit cheaper than this, and I believe that's a 10-channel, but it's only got 2 powered XLR inputs. This one has 4, so it's a little bit more expensive. I think this is like 80 bucks or maybe 90 bucks. The newer one, I'll put a link in the description, and that one's like, I think that one's like 60 bucks. or so, but again, click link in the description if you really want to find out. Anyway, what this allows me to do is take multiple mic inputs, so I've got 2 mics going into it right now, and that will allow me to do multi-person setups. So for instance, when Kyle and I do our live stream show every Tuesday evening at 5:30 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/awesomehardware, we can record ourselves. Now here in my garage studio we are using these microphones, which are also from Monoprice, and they're the Monoprice large diaphragm condenser microphone, I believe is what they're called. The product ID on these guys is 600-800 if you want to check those out. And we've been getting, now that we've finally figured out how to actually like configure these, we've actually been getting like some positive comments on our audio, which is nice. These are ideally placed very close to you, which is why I have them attached to these kind of swing arms up here. These are super ghetto swing arms. They're like 15 bucks on Amazon, which is why they are being held up with extra ropes and stuff. Speaking of extra ropes and stuff, I have this sort of overhead ceiling framework that I built up here, as well as a ghetto mounted light that's providing a little bit of light. The reason I built this out of wood is to make it malleable and flexible and to allow me to do things like add a little drop down piece so that I can bring the mics closer to our faces and stuff like that. Also to I have this little guy in here, which is just a C-clamp mounted with another camera. Although this camera is nice because it can do HDMI out. It's just a camcorder, but this allows me to get like a top-down view of just whatever the heck is going down here on the table, and that allows me to like switch back and forth between it and that kind of stuff. The last thing to mention for the audio and for this recorder is that since I already showed you those mics, those are plugged in via XLR right here. When I bring this over to Kyle's and we live stream from there, I use these, which are little lav mics, just wired, and they plug in same way. Works the same way. I like the sound quality of the large diaphragm condenser microphones better, but it's nice to be able to drop in those lav mics whenever necessary. Last thing is that it's got a couple different ways of connecting. So there's actually a USB out on this side over here, so we can just plug that straight into the streaming system, and then just connects via a standard USB device, no drivers required or anything like that. Or I can use the outputs right here, the aux send or the headphone out, and that I can pipe right into the camera. So if I'm not streaming, if I'm just recording locally onto the camera, I can do that into the camera, then I don't have to sync up the sound later on or that kind of thing. A couple other things before I move on. If you're in the market for a camera, again, make sure it's got that articulating screen or some way of actually being able to see yourself, especially if you're recording yourself. Make sure it has a discrete audio input, usually via a 1/8 inch jack. Having a separate audio input is really, really key if you don't want to record sound separately and sync it up later, which can just kind of be a pain in the butt. It's way easier just to record locally. And then the last thing is to make sure you have AC power. This is especially if you're streaming. So I have a little power battery pack unit, so it just pops in there and then it a little wire feeds out, and then I can actually feed full-time power to this via just a little $15 battery pack that I got, again, I think on Amazon. This works great, and I have had the camera running for like literally hours and with the AC power, and it just works, and it stays on, and it always feeds the HDMI out, and it's good to go. Now this device in front of the camera is my Ghetto Teleprompter. It's been through a couple different variations. It is made of a cardboard box and a piece of glass. This is me being frugal or just deciding, hey, a teleprompter is really just a glorified angled piece of glass. I don't want to pay 100 or 150 or 200 bucks for the ones that they sell. Although honestly those are nice, and in retrospect maybe I should have just done that. But this is basically cardboard box reinforced with some duct tape. I got black duct tape to make it fancier, and I also added a metal, or this is just like a straightened out hanger that goes across the top to hold this little cross beam up, and that holds the glass in place. The glass reflects down onto a monitor screen. This was really, really cheap to put together because the glass was like, you know, $2 or $3, and it's cardboard and duct tape. That is assuming that you have some of the other stuff you need though. So I did have an older monitor. It's like lower resolution than 1080, so I don't really use it much anymore, but I popped it on here for this, and then that actually goes over and connects up to my laptop right here. I can also connect it to the streaming system if I need to. And then I use some software called MirrorScript Pro, which is totally free, and it works. So with MirrorScript Pro, I just get whatever text or script or whatever, or usually like if I'm live streaming, I just put some notes on there to kind of keep me on track and keep things organized. You hit start, and then you can flip it on screen or whatever, and then it's just being mirrored onto this over here, and then as you can maybe see, it shows up right there. And then if I want to control it, I have a USB connected keyboard. This is a Cooler Master keyboard. You don't need to use a high-end mechanical keyboard for this. I just happen to have too many of these lying around apparently, and then I usually wear like socks or something, and then I hit the space bar with my toe, and that's how I control the words going up and down, or just to pause them if I want to go off on a tangent or something like that. And it actually works really well. Even to the extent that I prefer this setup over some of the other teleprompter setups I've seen, specifically because it allows you to change, the software allows you to change the size of the words on screen, bring the margins in if you want to, and just kind of configure it so that it gives you the best way to go. You can also use the buttons here to slow down or speed up the text, which is also pretty key to kind of help you speak in a regular cadence or that kind of thing. And this is all, honestly, guys, you know, I don't know if you guys are into teleprompters or if you think they're fake or whatever, but really it's there so that you can kind of keep up with what you want to talk about, so that you don't get too distracted like I'm probably doing in this video and going off on tangents, and to keep things concise and to cut way down on the editing time, because if you have a bunch of random tangents and you edit them all out, then that takes longer. Okay. So I've talked about cameras, I've talked about my audio solution, at least for right now, and I've talked about my teleprompter. How about this whole live streaming thing? Well, that's handled by this system over here, which is the streaming system. I also have another system over here, which you guys might recognize, that is Arctic Panther. That's so I don't have to edit in or growl later. That was a pretty terrible growl. Anyway, my goal here for streaming is that I need to be able to play games on this system, because this is my good system, dual 980s and whatnot, water-cooled. That's connected just to a 1080 monitor right now, but I also have a pass-through going. So this comes over here and it feeds to this guy. This is the Elgato Gamer HD60. So this has a HDMI pass-through and then a USB out. The USB out goes over to the actual streaming system here, and that way I can actually capture onto the streaming system. This also has a glossy monitor so you can see me in the reflection. Hi! So I'm going to show you guys a pretty basic setup that I have for capturing that GTA 5 over there and streaming it with this system. Now bear in mind, with most computers, you don't necessarily need a separate computer to play the game and then a separate computer to stream it. I only have this set up because I like having a dedicated computer to stream on, or at least that handles streaming as kind of its primary task, because that means it doesn't get moved around or messed around with or settings changed or equipment swapped out or anything like that very often. For a streaming system, you will definitely need a capture card of some kind. So I have two: the internal Blackmagic Intensity Pro that you can see right there, and then the external Elgato Game Capture HD, which is right over there. That's the external USB one. I also even kind of like having those be separate devices, so it's easier to tell which one is which in the system as you're doing selections and that kind of thing. And they seem to play nice together so far. If I have a complaint about the Game Capture HD60, it is that there is some lag and delay, because it actually does a little bit of buffering inside the device. So you might notice right now I've got GTA 5 up there. Then over on this system I'm just going to load up OBS. For streaming software, I like OBS because it's free, and I also use XSplit. I have a license for that. I think XSplit's a little bit more full-featured and the UI is a little bit friendlier, but you can do most of the stuff that you would do in XSplit using OBS, and I apologize if you guys have a hard time seeing this at all. Okay, so just real quick to show you basic capturing, I'm going to hit preview, and that actually made the screen go dark here for a second because that started up the buffering in the Elgato Game Capture HD60. But after a second it streams, and then what you see over here is now shown right over here. From there I could go on and do other things like setting up a camera and dropping in there. This isn't necessarily going to be a software tutorial on this, although guys, let me know if you are interested in a software tutorial from me. I'm still learning every day about how to use the streaming software, so it would be, it'd be that kind of video. But this gives me the basic functionality of playing the game over here on my nice epic water-cooled system with dual 980s. Still getting most of the performance. Granted, I'm limited to 1080-60, but if I'm streaming anyway, then I'm probably going to do that anyway. I might get a new monitor over here. It's something higher than 1080, and that might help things out a little bit, or at least make a little bit better use of those dual 980s there. Beyond that, though, you have other. Let me see what else I have set up here. Oh, there's me. So I switched over to this other scene, and now you can see me. That's the camera recording straight from the Gh4 over there, and now you can see me on screen with my LX100. And then of course we can use the software if we wanted to edit this around or that kind of thing, we'd have to select this and hit edit. And then, you know, you can resize stuff and move stuff around and all that kind of stuff. So guys, that is kind of a rundown of the hardware I'm using right now, the systems I'm using right now. I know there wasn't a whole lot of delving into detail, but I didn't want to make this video too long. Let me know in the comments if you want to see more videos like this and how I have it set up. This is obviously, well, hopefully obviously also a work in progress. I have some painting to do and back here and other projects that are ongoing. So stuff's still ready to be moved around here and there. Anyway, thanks for watching this video. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one. Also check out my store. You can buy Paul's Hardware t-shirts, thumb screw t-shirts, also mugs, glasses, and all that good stuff. Great way to get yourself some merchandise and also help support my cause. Thanks again for watching, guys. We'll see you next time.